G'day you mob, how's it going? Welcome to this episode of Pete vs Plants. I'm Pete and the plants are currently hiding. So we have mail day. I have a delivery. This is the tail end of my sort of investment splurge that I have had over the last 6 months. I'm lapping up a few of the different plants that I could find online that I wanted to breed. I wanted to grow out, take cuttings from, and hopefully then sell in the future or trade in order to make a bit of an income on the side, bit of a side hustle, but also just expand my own collection. And yeah, I don't know, I've sort of really dived into the hobby feet first. So we have those two to open. I also may or may not have gone to Bunnings recently and lashed out on 2 new plants. And these are both from Enliven. And I guess I'll show you those first before we get into the box, the unboxing. So the very first one is this sucker. So this is a Syngonium fantasy, as you can probably see, and it's from Enliven. Enliven is a company that is very hard to find any kind of information on. I believe that they have an exclusive deal with Bunnings, our sort of big box store here in Australia, our warehouse store where you pretty much go to buy anything you need to, repair your house or have a barbecue or for indoor and outdoor gardening. So I think these guys get pretty much all of their stock as tissue culture and then grow it out, and they only sell to Bunnings. I've spoken to a few different nursery owners and they're like, yeah, when Enliven came out, we tried to find information on them to be able to get stock from them and couldn't find anything. And I remember having a look online a while back too, and they don't have a website, they don't have contact information. I'm pretty much certain that, yeah, it must be true where they just have this exclusive deal with Bunnings, although you can't really find any information on it online. Let me know if you have. They have these different series though of plants, and the golden one here is the, what's it called again? It's the Collector series. And so this is the sort of mark that I quite often look for to see if it is a plant that might tickle my fancy. So yeah, anyway, I've had my eyes out for a Syngonium fantasy, yeah, Albo, right? For quite a while now. A few friends of mine have them, and I've seen a few people online that have been growing them out, and I think they're just beautiful. You've got to love this kind of white variegation. I assume by Albo, that I've heard it called online quite a bit, that it is chimeric in nature. So that means there are 2 genomes within the plant. One genome that produces the chlorophyll and is green, and the other genome that produces all of the plant tissues except for those that obviously have chlorophyll in them. Well, it produces the tissues, it just doesn't produce the chlorophyll. So it is unstable variegation, meaning it can revert to 100% green if you're not careful. So anyway, I saw this come up and I was like, you know what, I am pretty keen to try this plant out, see how it goes, try and grow it out. They are pretty cute. As I said, I'm a sucker for that kind of white variegation. And yeah, I guess that's really all there is to it. Guess we'll see how it goes. I might see how it goes in the potting mix that it has here, although I will probably need to repot it in the future because these potting mixes that they tend to be in from Enliven and usually from other nurseries tend to be a little denser than I am used to. And I think that's probably so they can save water and water less frequently. And the plant was $29.95, so they've come down quite a bit in price. I remember seeing a few of these probably 4 months ago in Bunnings. It was probably the first batch that came out, and they were more like $50 at the time for a plant this size. So yeah, obviously the market has become saturated, or fewer people are interested in plants now that COVID's over, and the prices are coming down, which is good and bad, I guess, depending on which side of the fence you sit. All right, so the second plant, and this is interesting, this is also from Enliven, but this time it says, I'm rare. And it is a Manjula pothos. So I assume, and I don't know off the top of my head, yeah, Epipremnum aureum Manjula, right? So I had a bit of a rant in a previous video that things we call pothos aren't actually pothos. Pothos is its own genus. It's kind of like calling Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma Monstera, or what's the other one? Monstera standleyana, a Philodendron. So yeah, I don't know. I won't get into that. Anyway, so I saw this come up. It's a beautiful plant. I already have it, but mine has been really growing slowly, and it's only like a single little vine. I bought that from, I think it was the Jungle Collective. It may have been them. Originally, it was a little more expensive than this. In fact, it may have been, yeah, this was the same price, $29.95. The one that I got, I think, was about $30 at the time, and it was on sale with an ugly discount. So the plant didn't look too great when it arrived, and it's just been really slow to grow. So anyway, I saw a whole bunch of these in Bunnings when I went and got the Syngonium Fantasy, and I kind of rummaged through all of the different plants, trying to find one with the most growth points coming out of it, and that looked the best, that had the nicest variegation. This one seems to have this kind of nice splotchy variegation, but also this more sort of minty, what would you call it, the Marble Queen kind of variegation in there too on some of the different vines. So I thought this might be a good purchase to try and grow out in the future. So those are the first two plants for this unboxing or featuring video. If you have either of these, let me know if you've got any tips or tricks for keeping them alive and making them thrive. Forcing them to thrive, you guys better do well. Anyway, I'm gonna put these guys aside and we can start opening these boxes. So which one to start with? I might do the easier one first, the one with less tape. All right. So I bought both of these through Facebook groups. This one, I believe it's this one, as the seller sent me an image of the package, so I'm pretty sure that's what this is. I got via an auction. So there are quite a few auctions that take place in some of these groups in Australia, and so it's good if you sort of have an idea in mind of what you want to spend and you sort of know the market value of the plant. It's worth watching these auctions and seeing what they actually end up, getting close to going for at the end of the auction. And if you think that they are, going for a bargain, sorry, I'm just going to rip this off. If you think they're going for a bargain, then it may be worth jumping on if it's a plant that, you have wanted for a while or that you want as an investment plant. This person has definitely packaged this really well. Taped the hell out of it, and it's covered in Glad wrap, which is good. It's probably quite a delicate plant because it's actually quite small, and I'm not sure, I think I probably overpaid for this, to be honest, and I think a lot of you guys will probably agree when you find out how much I paid for it and the size of it. But I think it'll grow out, and it had beautiful genetics, so I was kind of okay with lashing out a little bit. So, okay. Let's see if I can just open this up without damaging it. It's really funny, it actually looks like it's a TC plant, that's how small it is. But I don't think it is. I'm not sure if this plant has actually hit the market in TC just yet, although I have heard that it is underway. No, it's not TC, it's a cutting. It's just that the leaves are incredibly small. So, I wonder if you guys can tell what that is. Probably not. It is a Philodendron ilsemanii. And it's a little smaller than I was sort of expecting, to be honest. But I ended up paying for this, and you are going to probably all scream, whether loudly or silently behind the camera here watching this video. I think I paid $400 for this from memory. I will go and double check, but yeah. And look, I got a 30-cent little pot here chucked in for nothing, so what a bargain. But yeah, I think these at the moment are very, very expensive plants in Australia. So if you can get your hands on one of these in Australia for anything under $1,000, usually for a leaf, you're doing pretty well. So my rationale for doing this was it had 2 growth points. I'm not sure if you can see well on there or not. It had 2 growth points coming out. I'm hoping that they kind of keep going and that I can take cuttings from it in the future and in turn sell those to recoup the cost, as well as obviously grow out some mother stock for this plant, though it may be slow growing. And after I had purchased this, which was a few weeks ago, it's taken a while to get here, I have a friend who's importing a lot of plants at the moment, both in tissue culture, and we've tried importing live plants, although that has had sort of mixed results. I might talk about that later in the future. But he recently discovered that ilsemanii is now in TC, and I think it's in the propagation period where they are multiplying the plants as much as they can to then go and sell on maybe in the next 6 months to a year. I'm not really sure on the time period, but that means that the prices will dramatically fall once those plants hit the market in TC. So yeah, probably need to grow this guy out as quickly as possible and try and get a return on him. Anyway, so that's the first one, Philodendron ilsemanii. And they're beautiful. They're beautiful when they get bigger, guys. They are phenomenal plants. All right, the last one here. This one wasn't an auction. This was just a straight out purchase, and I've wanted one of these for a while, as I seem to always say about every plant that I get. Did I just cut myself? No, I'm okay. This guy definitely taped the hell out of this box. All right. I think it's got something inside it that's fragile, guys. I'm not sure. All right, see if I can open it okay. Yep, okay, the leaves are exposed at the top, so I'm just going to be careful with the scissors. So, this is apparently a dark form gloriosum. I should probably show you it before I get it out. So I got to see the mother plant that this person was, that the person had obviously taken this plant from, and it was absolutely stunning. I think, in my opinion, it was nicer than the really large white vein gloriosums and the standard gloriosums. I've got two of the standard ones just in a single pot growing out at the moment, and I love them. They are beautiful, but I am definitely someone who is a bit of a sucker for the darker foliage. On philodendrons in particular, I've got some dark form Adibapoens times Bilietiers, and they are stunning, 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 stunning. So this again also was going for quite a pretty penny. This was, from memory, I think $300. And I mean, not that it really makes much of a difference, but in both these cases, I managed to get postage chucked in from memory. It may not be the case with the ilsemanii. I may have had to pay for that on top, actually, because it was an auction. But with this one, I did. I got postage chucked in, so, you know, the small wins where you can get them. But I am definitely pumped to grow this out, take propagations from it, and I haven't seen many people that have this plant here in Australia. This seems to be even rarer than the white veined form. And I guess for reference, the white veined form, the zebrina, I think some people call it, the zebra, gloriosum zebra, tends to go for $300 to $400 a plant as well. So yeah, pretty crazy prices here in Australia, but that's just how the market currently is, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on, again, which side of the fence you're sitting. As a person who's currently investing in these plants, it does definitely feel a bit like, ugh, at times, but I am just getting my first batch of plants ready to be on the market and be sold to people, and I am looking forward to seeing how that goes, and I guess I'll keep you guys updated with that. As a bit of a spoiler, I guess, they are the Philodendron El Choco Reds. So I'll be selling a bunch of those soon. And if you're in Australia and you want one, let me know. Just send me a message or something, and I'll give you a decent price on them. But I think I'm probably going to just auction them off on eBay. I'm still yet to really decide. I feel like that's potentially the fairest thing, though it may not be the way to get the most money out of your plants. But it would be how you can sort of move them fairly based on market prices. So yeah, so the first batch of El Choco Reds is going to go out soon, and then I also have some Thai constellations, some really large plants that I'm wanting to get rid of soon too, because they are taking up a shitload of space. Anyway, so yeah, there you go. This is apparently, and I guess we'll see as it grows out, the dark form gloriosum. Either way, it has much whiter and larger veining than the standard gloriosums that I currently have. So I definitely think it's going to be beautiful when it grows out, and the leaves here do look a lot darker than the ones that I've got. So yeah, pumped to see these guys grow out, and I guess I'll keep you updated with everything. But that's probably enough for this video, guys. I've sort of done 4 plants here, talked a little bit about those. Investment plant wise, yeah, I think the Syngonium Fantasy and the Manjula, they're not, I mean, you could have them as investment plants, but you're probably going to have to take a lot of cuttings and sell a lot of them to really make any money back. The prices have kind of crashed on both, and they've become much more readily available here in Australia. But my 2 cents for investments in terms of plants and probably anything anywhere else, and this isn't, brain surgery, this is probably advice many people will give you, is to diversify as much as you can. So in my plant collection, I've got plants that range from, $20 to $30 each, all the way up to plants that I've spent $1,000 or more on, or are probably now worth more than $1,000. So some of the larger Albos that I've got were the ones that I spent quite a bit of money on originally, and they seem to be an evergreen, pardon the pun, an evergreen type of plant that people are always going to want. So yeah, my modus operandi here, the sort of way that I've gone about things, is to just make sure that I have many different types of popular plants with collectors and with the public. And even then, there are some that pretty much like, the average person isn't going to buy an ilsemanii here for the amount of money that I spent on this. The average person is not going to do that. Collectors are going to do that, so at least currently, until prices probably plummet for that plant. So that's the other thing too, working out who your sort of target market is. Is it the average punter? Is it the slightly sort of into indoor plant sort of person? Or is it the, extreme collector who is maybe, ravenously obsessed with gloriosums specifically? You work that out, and then obviously to try and cover your bases by having multiple different kinds of plants that you can grow out, take cuttings from, and then, sell on eBay, on Facebook, via your own store online, etc., etc., etc. So that's my plan currently. We'll see how things go in the future. Anyway, it's probably enough for this video, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. In the meantime, YouTube reckons you're going to go and enjoy this video next, so give it a little click-a-rooney, just smack it, give it a smack, and I'll see you there. Tooroo.